What's up everybody, welcome back to yet another Masterclass. I'm excited that you tuned in again. Easily the most requested topic after last week's class on Haydn D Major Basics are of course the tenths at the end of the exposition of the first movement of the Haydn D Major Concerto, which is exactly what we're going to talk about today. If you're watching this as a live premiere on YouTube or Facebook, stay tuned after the Masterclass because I'm going to give a live Q&A on Facebook after this broadcast. Looking forward to seeing you afterwards. For most people who play the Haydn D Major Cello Concerto, the tenths are not exactly the spot that everybody is looking forward to. And I think that's a shame because actually this place holds a lot of beauty and also musical and especially harmonic surprise. And we're going to talk about all of that in just a second. If you're asking yourself, why the heck did Haydn compose these tenths? I think it's a good idea to remind ourselves that it's actually thematic material from the beginning. Before we talk about the musical delights, let's get some technical questions out of the way. And let's just all have a moment of honesty here. Who is practicing tenths in the morning when you do your technical practice? I think very few of us do. And that's a shame because then when it comes to Prokofiev or Haydn, where we do need these tenths quite extensively, we basically start from scratch. So including those tenths in your daily practice routine actually is going to give you nice tools to work with when it comes to these pieces. Practicing tenths in this way is going to give your hand great stability, and it's also great education just what the distances are. However, in the case of the spot of the tenths in the Haydn Concerto, it is not 100% useful because we're not playing the tenths as double stops, but as individual notes. Now, if you remember from last week's class, double stops have a different intonation than individual notes. Double stops work in the intonation system of just intonation, and individual notes more towards the Pythagorean intonation. Now, if I use the first double stop as an example, the intonation is relatively tight. So when I play these as individual notes, it is acceptable, but I would love for it to be just a little bit sharper. That gives it just that much more brilliance and shine. So therefore, instead of practicing the tenths as double stops, it makes much more sense to practice them individually. The first challenge we need to solve is how do we get into the position of the first tenth? And I would like to highly recommend Popper number 33. Practicing this etude is a fantastic investment because you can use that stretch in so many more instances. Already at the very beginning of the piece, you have to use that stretch twice. And briefly after, you can also use this for other pieces, for example, Arpeggione Sonata. When you practice something challenging, do think of multiple applications. Don't think of it as an isolated instance, because that way you will raise your whole cello playing rather than just raising the quality of one particular phrase or spot. Now let's talk about the things that the left hand has to do. First of all, we need to change positions and we need to stretch the hand. And I like to divide up the work. So in my mind, one finger is the orientation finger, the finger that helps us get into the right position. And the other finger is going to be responsible for stretching. As the figurations change on the third finger, I think it is safe to say that we can use the third finger as the finger of orientation, or let's say your personal GPS when it comes to moving about the fingerboard. So before you worry too much about the intonation, let's practice the third finger isolated. The tricky part of this challenging place obviously is how much do we need to increase the stretch? And this is, I think, where the fun comments are going to come in. Do you actually know how many inches or centimeters you are stretching the hand? Not just how the feeling changes in the hand when you do the stretch, but the actual measurement. So as I'm a fan of empirical science, here we have a measuring band, and we're just going to measure the distances. Trust me on that one. It really helps a lot. So my first distance here is 12.5. The second one, 14.2. And my third distance is 16.3. So roughly speaking, we have an increase of 2 centimeters per stretch. I know we are trained to think in stretches and in distances in relative terms, but it's also nice to work with concrete numbers. So now, as we practiced the third finger individually, we're going to practice the thumb individually. And already, when practicing the finger individually, already think of the stretch and the amount of stretch that you have to perform. I do want to come back to the measuring tape one more time, because I think this can also be very useful if you're working on a Dvorak concerto right now. Just something to think about when you come to figure 12. What is the difference between these two thirds? We start out with a big third and then we go to a small third. And when you measure out the two double stops, the big third, the first interval is 8.6, and the second interval is 8.6. They're the same distance. And by knowing that, it really relieves me of having to recalibrate or recalculate, going from big third to small third, how much do I actually have to change? No, empirical evidence. There is no change in distance. If you're experiencing double stops as being challenging, try this out. It's fun and it's easy and it gives you very clear information to work with. It is equally as important to talk about the left hand than it is to talk about the right hand. Now, in order not to disturb the static of the stretch, it is important that you find a point in the bow where you don't have to have so much movement that is actually upsetting the cello and therefore endangering your intonation. If you are doing the string crossing too far in the upper half, your arm will actually have to perform a lot of motion. If you are too close to the heel, then the tip is going to have to perform too much motion. So somewhere between middle and balance point, I think, is the sweet spot where I can perform the string change almost entirely by wrist and fingers. Subsequently, my lower and upper arm are just responsible for the long notes and for the slurred notes. And for the fast string crossing, I'm mainly going to use fingers and wrist. Another thing to keep in mind is that the A string, of course, is significantly shorter than the D string. Therefore, that also needs to be reflected in how you angle the bow. Obviously, the shorter string also calls for a different position in the bow in order not to squeak. So I'm going to angle the bow slightly in order to make up for the string length differences. Okay, let's look at some harmonic and musical aspects of this spot. Usually when I have a technically demanding passage or spot, I try to look for musical meaning in order to pull me through the passage with more ease. And this is no exception. We have wonderful harmonies here. We're starting out in D major. And on the last note of that figuration, we're changing to B minor. Then we do the shift to the next position. And on the last note again, we're changing this time to E7. And subsequently do the change. Then we have still 4 notes in the orchestra. And then we resolve with A major. So again, here are the harmonies. Beautiful, no? So that has to reflect in how we shape that phrase. Let's look at the characters of the harmonies. I would say D major, strong tonality of the piece, very shining, very forward. Whereas in contrast, B minor maybe is a little bit more introvert, maybe a little bit more lyrical. So within that little passage, we actually have to make a change in character. And therefore, it's worth to use quite a bit of bow on the long notes and on the slurred notes. So we have a first long note here. Then we have a slurred note that brings us into position for the changes. And here we have the cantabile, which again is going to take us to the tip of the bow. Now we are in the more lyrical B minor. But now we come to the E7, which, being the dominant to A, holds a lot of tension, holds a lot of heft, and has a lot of desire to be resolved into A major. So I'm probably going to give a little bit more sound on that one. When you include these three characters, as I said before, you are giving meaning, musical meaning, and harmonic meaning to the spot. And suddenly, you're not focused so much anymore on your 2 centimeter increase, but actually, you're more focused, hopefully, on changing the color, changing the meaning, and going through that cadence, which is actually very beautiful. And I'm pretty sure you're not going to dread that place anymore, but you're actually going to enjoy going through those harmonies. All right, that's it for today. Thank you very much for tuning into this class. If you're watching the premiere on Facebook, stay tuned. We're going to have a Q&A now. And before we dive in, I want to share with you the 3 things that have inspired me most this last week. First of all, the very cool, very poignant, and very informative masterclasses by Thomas de Menga. Second of all, I'm finishing The Silent Cry by Kensaburo Oe. Really good read, very dense, but really good literature. And he got the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1994, so check him out. And lastly, I was very inspired by you, by your wonderful contributions to Moser Masterclass and submitting your Haydn videos, which I'm going to review in the next Masterclass. So I'm really looking forward to that, and please tune in again next Monday when we are going to look at your videos. And as always, I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next class. Bye.